up in the creek now. Back here in the creek, and got a piece of stone here, it's a shale. Look at that, mussels on the thing. Oh, I don't want to take it with you. Things will get big after a while. But at any rate, that's, as you can see, water's still kind of sooty here. But what we have here is a nice little riffle here. It's dumping down to a hole. We're actually jammed up. There's a hole right here as well, but a shallow riffle here all the way right there, and a hole on the other side of that. And I can hear some other riffles right upstream here, so that's what we're going to start doing. And we're going to get out here. I'm going to try to figure out how I'm going to get out of here without tipping my without tipping my boat over. I think what we need to do is, yeah, come over here. There we go. These boots are made by Shoes for Crews. Shoes for Crews specialize in non-slip footwear. As I slipped there. The good thing about them is, seriously, look at the mussels here. All the mussels there. It's a good sign of life. Very clear here. Riffle here. On this side there's a hole. I'm guessing this is a run, but there's another riffle on the other side here. And that's the big rock we got pinched on, centered on. And so we're gonna, so we are in the water. Again, the shoes are non-slip shoes. Huh. Curious. My keys. I can't. Oh no. Good example of a riffle here. Little riffle. You see the little rocks, how shallow right there, and it's really making some, it's like white water. But on the immediate other side of this is basically a hole. And there's a little bit of a riffle there. You can hardly see it because it's just so murky and not very deep. But this whole riffle here starts there and goes almost all the way to the other side of the creek. But right here is a hole that's deeper than that riffle, and you would anchor up right here, and you would just cast your bait up here. I hope you can hear me. You cast your bait up over here over this, and then and that, a lot of that's just a tree. It's a snag, I suppose, but still there's a hole there. Things will build up, things like that. It's really more of a snag than it is anything else. And the idea is to be a hole on the other side of that, right? See that? All that water speeds up over that, and they make a hole, scour out a hole, and on the other side of that you can fish. So here we have a complete impasse here. But again, your riffle here is a little kind of a hole right there. Right, and these fish will get in here and as far as they can. And again, here's a classic riffle. Hard substrate bottom, gravel, and there's a hole right there. Right? You could just stand right here, and we could literally stand right here and just cast our literally stand right there and cast our baits down off there and catch catch fish. And if you want to get back in these little creeks, these little streams like this, and you don't have a canoe, or you want a motor to do it with, build you one of these little mud motors. The only thing I hate about having to come upstream is that you're making all that noise and you have to get upstream and let everything calm back down again. But again, there's a riffle, there's a hole and a run, but right here, we're right sitting over a hole right now. Right? Because here's a riffle right here, and it's giving away to a hole. There's a little bit of a run right there, and same thing. So what we're going to do is try to get back in here. Let me show you what these mud motors can do for you. We may ground here. If not, we can... Yeah. See another. There's a riffle up there. And there's a hole and there's a little bit of a run until we get to these trees right here. I don't want to step out into this, but as you can see, let me kill the motor here. Again, riffle, way up there, you see a riffle. That gives away to a hole that's a little bit deeper. It seems like I see some little fish there anyway, but anyway, and it comes down here to a run. You have a snag right here, but you also have a little bit, but see, you see this is a riffle here, but right there is another little hole that's deeper than this right here. Okay, and then there's a little riffle there, and then the other side of that. So there's another hole, and that's where those fish will be. And if you're wanting a good book on catfishing, I'd recommend Doug Stange's channel Catfish Fever, where he explains that Riffle-Hole-Run thing on small streams. And I think so many of us are fishing waters that have been dammed up, and it's so deep and so big and so wide and so long, it's hard to know. How do you know where to start in terms of fishing channel catfish? And I think Doug Stange gives a good example of where and how to start and for what reasons and whatnot. And so, and that's fine. Another way to start is just wait till the spawn comes and just fish the riprap walls below the dam. And you'll catch them all day long like that. But if you really want to, if you're on the rivers, find you some small fish. The biggest thing from that book is fish small waters first. Master the small waters, then move on up. So that if you're, you know, if you can master a small stream like this, then something big is just not a problem. Or you just have to adapt it and whatnot for that thing. Let's just see how deep it is. Oh gosh, I could stand up here. I wouldn't want to, but it's just not very deep. I mean, but this is sort of your classic sort of place. And so now, the further and further we're getting up this little stream here, the more and more often you're seeing this structure of riffle, hole, run. And so, you see that riffle sort of gives way. I mean, this tree is sort of in this hole right here, except on this side is another riffle, and it goes off there. And these are what all rivers look like if you just drain all. This is what all the rivers used to look like, and then they dammed them all up, and this is how we need the dams. I mean, we need the electric power and things like that. But it's these sorts of streams like this that are just magical. The water's fairly clear as well. It's a little bit sooty. It always gets sooty this time of the year, but it's fairly clear. But again, you can see the water coming down way up there. Hope you can see it. You know, even like right there is another kind of a riffle, and there's another little hole. Oh gosh, let's see if we can stand up here. Well, We're going to start floating back downstream here. We just dislodged ourselves. As you can see, this whole thing here is just, this is kind of river runs through it stuff, right? You see like here, the snag here. Oh, see, that's what I'm talking about. Sort of a snag there. The truth be told is if I had my rod and reel, I've been fishing jugs today, but if I had my rod and reel, I could just set up right here. I could just walk out right there and just put my lure, put my float in the water and let it just float down, and that hole right there would hold fish. And then there's a, didn't you just hear that? See what I'm saying? You just heard fish jumping up. They're all in here. I couldn't see, I think it was right here. So again, that's a riffle. That's a hole, and then it runs up to that other riffle, and there's another hole. And you can just keep going. And there's a little bit of a hole that comes straight down through here and sort of weaves itself around. And so you just fish that. And a lot of guys ask, well, how do I drift fish? You know, they see the guys, guys drift fishing. They have, 8-10 rods kind of set up on their boats and drifting down the big river. Well, drift fishing comes from this kind of fishing. You get a single rod and reel with a float on it, and you drift these snags, and you drift these runs, you drift these holes, and see where the fish are down in those holes, and that's where you're catching your fish. Running water is dangerous, folks, so be careful. I wanted to get out here and try to maybe perhaps walk that, but I probably can get some waders. Probably need to invest in some waders because it's shallow enough that I can get in there and walk it. But hey, be careful. If you don't have proper equipment, just chill out, And so we can just keep going upstream here because it might be worth just getting out and wading and walking upstream, But anyway, but there you have it. Riffle-Hole-Runs as written by Doug Stange and Toad Smith and Stephen Quinn and all those guys who really pioneered a lot of, brought catfishing onto the scene, whereas, and so, but anyway, if you want to, how do you find waters like this? Get you a map, whatever your big waters are, and then find, there's always going to be tributaries dumping into the big river. Even the big dammed up rivers have tributaries like this. And so just find them and go say, look, we're just going to go explore, and let's explore them. You can go as far as you can, and get you some waders, get up over the logs like that. Be careful. I'm not as young as I used to be. I wouldn't have thought twice about getting in there. Moving water is dangerous, so just be careful. You don't want to get pinned under a rock or under a snag like that, and you can't get up and get air, and you end up drowning. But just be careful. This is kind of river runs through it stuff. But anyway, there you go, Riffle-Hole-Run, and we're going to get back down, check our jugs here. I don't want nobody stealing my jugs before I get mad. We got to get dislodged first. Other than that, I will check you guys later. Bye.